All right, so we are going to be learning how to multiply fractions by whole numbers and basically how to show a fraction as a product of unit fractions. So down here it says you have learned to write a fraction as a sum of unit fractions. For example, 4/5 equals 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5, because 1, 2, 3, 4/5, right? You can also write a fraction as a multiple of a unit fraction. Use an equation to write 4/5 as a multiple of a fraction. Use fraction tiles. Okay, well, we knew that up here it said 4/5 equals 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. So 4/5 equals 1/5 4 times. 1/5, how many times? Well, times 4. Or it could also be written 4 times 1/5. Okay, so this shows 4/5 written as a product, because that's the answer to a multiplication problem, of a whole number and a fraction. It's 4 of these 1/5, or 1 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. Okay, so how many 1/5 tiles did you use? Well, we used 4 of them. Another way, it says use repeated addition. You know that 4/5 equals 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. How many times is 1/5 added to equal 4/5? 4 times. So 4/5 equals 4 times 1/5. Okay, so let's take a look at another example. All right, up here it says, you know that 6 is a multiple of 2, right? That means that if you multiply 2 enough, you're going to end up getting 6, because 2 times 3 is 6. So any multiples of 6, such as 12, because 2 times 6 is 12, 18, 3 times 6 is 18, or 24, 4 times 6 is 24, are also multiples of 2. Because if 2 is a multiple of 6, then 2 has to be a multiple of all of those. The same is true for fractions. A multiple of a fraction can also be written as a multiple of a unit fraction. So use an equation to write 2 times 4/5 as a multiple of a unit fraction. And again, I want to just emphasize, a unit fraction just means, it's like saying that if we had this broken into 2 pieces, okay, and I had one of them, that's 1/2. Each of those pieces is 1/2. That's a unit fraction. It shows how much each piece in the whole is. So it always has 1 as your numerator over your denominator. Okay, so it says 2 times 4/5. Well, there's no unit fraction there yet. So let's figure out the 4/5 part first. Okay, so 4/5, it says, oh, no, I guess we're not. So 2 times 4/5. Okay, so 4/5 can be rewritten, if it's 2 of those, as 4/5 plus 4/5, because 4/5 plus 4/5 is the same as 2 times 4/5. Okay, so now we've got 4/5 plus 4/5, and we know that that's 4 plus 4, or 8/5, which is an improper fraction, but for right now we don't really care about that. Okay, so we have 8 of those over 5. Okay, so 2 times 4/5 gives us 8/5. How many 1/5 tiles does it take to make 8/5? Well, a unit fraction would be, what's each of these pieces called? Well, it's called 1/5. And if I've got 8 of them, how many of those does it take to make 8/5? It takes 8 of them. So when 1/5 times 8, or 8 times 1/5, makes 8/5, and 8/5 makes 2 times 4/5, so that would be your product of your unit fraction. How many 1/5 tiles did you use? We used 8. So 8/5 is a multiple of 4/5. It's also a multiple of 1/5. So 8/5 equals 8 times 1/5. Write an equation showing that 8/5 is a multiple of the unit fraction 1/5. 8/5 equals 8 times 1/5, because a multiple is just that number multiplied by something, right? And 8/5 is the answer. So 8 times 1/5 is 8/5. So 2 times 4/5 is the same thing or equal to 8 times 1/5. Okay, write an equation showing how 3/8 is a multiple of 1/8. Okay, well, how many eighths are there if I have 3 eighths? That would be like 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8. All right, how many is that? How many times did I add 1/8? I added it once, twice, 3 times, which is 3 times 1/8. Okay. Write equations showing how 6/8 is a multiple of both 3/8 and 1/8. Well, 6/8 would be the same as, okay, 3/8 plus 3/8, right? Because 3 plus 3 is 6. Okay. And then it's also, how many of these eighths did we need? Well, we needed 6 of them, so it would be 6 times 1/8. Okay, so it's 3/8 plus 3/8, which is the same as 2 times 3/8. That means it's a multiple of 3/8. It's also a multiple of 1/8 because 6 times 1/8 is 6/8. So 6/8 is equal to 2 times 3/8. It's also equal to 6 times 1/8. Okay, so it's just messing with those unit fractions and the fractions, putting them together, taking them apart. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so I think you're ready to go off and do your practice. Remember, if you have any difficulty with this, then please check into the math Zoom meeting and we can go through more of these together.